And news continues. Opio Wandai, the minority leader in the National Assembly, is now here with us. We'll be telling you about the development in Parliament earlier on, because yesterday on the floor of the House, he threatened that if the money is not released, they will paralyze the business of the House. Good to see you, Mheshimiwa.
Nice to see you, Ken.
So finally, you're not paralyzing the business of the House.
You know, as they say, there are many ways of skinning a cat. Yeah, yesterday's threat was one of those means to have the executive jolted, especially the National Treasury. You know, Ken, we are talking about a bigger issue than just NG-CDF and GAF, if you ask me. If you think of it, out of a budget of 3 trillion plus Kenya shillings, the NG-CDF is just about 50 billion Kenya shillings or so. And if you see members of parliament having to threaten, having to actually...
and it's not the first time.
Yes, for the disbursement of such a minute fraction of the total budget, then something is bigger, is wrong somewhere. And I said today on the floor of the House that even those projects that had been planned for in the main budget, that is way back in June last year, are yet to be implemented. Small projects costing a few millions of shillings.
But we don't have the money.
The question, therefore, is where is the money?
There is no money for development.
Where's the money?
The government can hardly pay salaries.
That is the $6 million question. Because as far as we are concerned, the government continues to collect money every single minute, every single second.
But where does the money go? As a member of parliament, where does this money go?
I don't know. Yes, we expected that answer to come from the executive. It's not coming out clearly. So, on our part, it's not a business, really, to explain where the money is going.
Because it's to demand for it.
It's to demand for the prudent usage of money, taxpayers' money.
This is MP's pocket money, true or false?
No, it can't be true. You know, the law is very clear. The NG-CDF Act is very, very clear and very elaborate, in fact, in terms of governance. Yes, that money is the money that goes to help the poorest of the poor, down at the grassroots.
Okay.
Yes. Anybody you ask will tell you that NG-CDF has had tremendous impact across the country. And it is something that we need to protect, really. We know that monies have been devolved and a lot of money goes through the county governments. But the jury is out there whether that money is being utilized in the manner it should.
Yes, especially with the MPs, because the amount of fight that members of parliament usually put up if this money is missing, that is the reason why they say this is their pocket money. You deny them their pocket money, they will cause hell in parliament.
I don't think so. Members of parliament, just like any other leaders, would want to make an impact in the lives of their people.
Okay.
Yes, NG-CDF is one such tool that MPs could use as part of the oversight role, really. Yes. To ensure that projects are initiated and completed. Remember, there is a very, very clear mechanism of managing this fund down there under the ambit of the NG-CDF constituency committees. So whatever name you give it, this is the kind of money or fund that needs to be ring-fenced, if you ask me. Even if tomorrow I was not to be in Parliament,
you'll fight for it from outside.
I would fight for it to be
Was the $6 million question or figure deliberate? That you said this is the $6 million question. Was it deliberate?
That was figurative, you know.
Are you sure it was? Are you sure it was? Are you sure it was?
I'm very sure. But I'm very happy that we are back for the new session. This is the third session of the 13th Parliament. We are back and our plate is full, as I'm sure you know by now.
What was the rationale behind maintaining the House Business Committee?
Nothing really out of the ordinary.
It's a practice in Parliament?
It's basically out of best practice that you have some kind of continuity. Unless there's a very good reason why a member needs to be removed. I don't think it is really necessary. In any case, the House Business Committee is one of those committees of the House where consensus actually rules the day.
Okay.
Yeah, I've hardly seen any point where we have to take a vote on any issue. Yeah.
Mheshimiwa, you are likely to become a majority leader. This phenomena features prominently all the time. Raila Odinga mentioned it the other day at a public function, how it was stifled. 1 year, 16 or 17 months later, do you think you would have done better on the other side of the aisle?
I'm not sure. It's very difficult to judge myself, you know. And again, the matter of whether I should have been the leader majority or not is currently under active litigation in court.
So you don't want to talk about it?
I don't want to talk about it.
Okay,
yes.
Let's talk about the setback. Or rather, let's talk about the fact that the court said proceed with the recruitment. NADCO is still pending. Where does this leave you? I know that it will come to the floor, but nothing stops you from talking about it. Where does this leave you?
If you have been keen enough, I've made certain statements in the past few days, especially over the last weekend in Siaya. And I was very deliberate in my usage of words. And I said that as Azimio, we are clear in our minds that any route other than the NADCO route to reconstitute the IEBC is not acceptable to us. And therefore, any attempt to use what I refer to as a moribund IEBC selection panel to reconstitute the IEBC would be resisted. And I was just being honest, really. Yeah, you know, we live in this country, and we know the genesis, how NADCO came into being. Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay? So it was not for nothing. We were not acting in vain, okay? And this selection panel has been in place since last year, early, okay? There's a reason why it went slow on its work. It's a very good reason. The panel itself, under the chairmanship of Nelson Makanda, yeah, appeared before NADCO at Bomas. And we asked them straightforward questions. And they answered us that they are aware. They live in this country. They are clear in their mind that they can't proceed until NADCO pronounces itself on the matter, on the very weighty matter of the IEBC. And therefore, even though you can't fault the court for what it did, mm-hmm, yeah.
Because these are parallel processes.
You can't fault the court, really, mm-hmm, yes, in a sense. But the fact is that as a country, we have chosen to reconstitute the IEBC through the NADCO framework. As a country. Remember, the NADCO was a conversation between two formations of what, if you like it, equal might, politically speaking, okay? And therefore, NADCO represented the views and wishes of greater majority of Kenyans. Okay. Now that NADCO has compiled a report, and the report has been actually tabled in Parliament, it is due for debate from tomorrow evening. What is the hurry?
What is the prejudice?
Well, the prejudice is that if that selection panel, as moribund as it is, were to continue this work and purport, mm-hmm, to present names for appointment, it would create a serious problem, legally and constitutionally speaking, okay? And therefore, common sense dictates that that committee of Makanda, okay, freezes.
Once again.
It has to freeze, yes, okay? And the court was very clear. But then if you read the judgment of Justice Mugure Thandi, you will see that the judge was very, 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 very clever, if I may say so. Because is he a man? Sorry. Because the court did not actually
expressly
give the Makanda panel timeline for completing the exercise and, mm-hmm, handing in the names.
It's open.
He just said, so commence the process immediately, which they have done. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so actually, in a sense, they have complied with the court ruling. Okay? Mm-hmm. They have complied with the court ruling since they have actually commenced the process. Okay. Okay? But the fact is that they should not attempt to conclude that process.
Does suspending that exercise make them moribund, Mheshimiwa?
Yeah, it does. Legally, they may still be alive. But technically, they are moribund.
Politically, you mean?
Yeah. I expect that Parliament will expedite this process, really. If we all mean well for this country, mm-hmm, you know, we know where we come from.
You're not in control of what Parliament does.
We are in control. We are the parliamentarians.
As the minority.
We are the parliamentarians. Yes. We can decide.
That's how it ought to be, but that's not how it is.
We can decide. I'm saying if common sense were to prevail and we were to be sincere with one another, meaning that both sides of the political divide would act in good faith in the House and outside the House.
I'd want to ask you, if they don't, what happens?
No, that bridge we shall cross once we get there. You know, Ken, we are not.
You're being careful.
We are never short of options.
You're being careful.
No, I'm just being
careful.
realistic. I've been around for some time now.
Let me ask you, because I asked the prejudice, right? Let me ask the greater evil. Setting up an IEBC right now, which does not exist. We only have the Secretariat. And you stalling the process because you feel it has to go through Parliament. Which is the greatest evil, Mheshimiwa?
You know, Ken, you live in this country and you live in Africa. In this part of the world, believe you me, elections are a matter of life and death. And therefore, the body or the establishment of the body that is supposed to supervise elections is such an important matter that it cannot be left to partisan interests. Okay? That's the point, really. And perception here is everything. There is no single day you will actually have angels in the IBC as commissioners.
It has to be
but
one.
Perception is everything. The mere fact that such an IBC would be perceived as having been appointed exclusively by one side of the political divide.
But is that other side of the political divide that will give that perception? It's not anyone, it's just that side that did not participate that will say, it's not right what happened here. It's not anyone else, it's that side of the divide.
You know, Ken, sometimes you think that the public are not conscious of what goes on around. I go to political rallies. The public in those rallies, they know more than even some of us know. In fact, when you stand to speak to them, they anticipate what you need to talk about. They even remind you that you haven't spoken about this other issue. So don't take the public as being naive.
Okay.
Yes.
Honorable Opio and I stays with me. We still have 2-3 questions to ask him. So we'll take a break, but when we come back, remember, he's still here. Stay with us. The business community cites cost of doing business as a major stumbling block to their sustainability. This and other stories